Hello, everyone. Welcome to Superhero with a Cane, podcast number 5. Can't believe we got 5 in the books. Today, we're recording this on March 1st, which happens to be the first day. March is MS Awareness Month, so I have I always represent my MS for MS .org charity. But yes, March is MS Awareness Month. March 1st is also the anniversary of my brother Jim passing. So 11 years ago today, my brother Jim passed away, went on to a better place. He's my only sibling. I miss you, brother. He was Jim is a friend, a good friend, and not only my brother, but a good friend. So today, what I want to talk about is it's a book that really made an impact on my life many years ago when I was still in the career building phase of my life, still trying to figure out what was important and how to be a better quality person. So the book that I'm talking about is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 Habits taught by Dr. Stephen Covey, who passed away in 2012, are lessons that I implemented into my life. I implemented into my sales career. I implemented into my career as a business owner. And for years, I mean, I had to have, I mentioned in a couple podcasts ago that, I can't read. Well, I can read, but I don't retain. So the best way I retain is when I listen. So I get books on audio. So I must have listened to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People over 40 times. So I want to talk about its impact on your life and its impact on what now my life with MS is, and how I've learned to interpret the 7 habits through living with MS. But so anyway, the habit number 1 is to be proactive. A proactive person's behavior is a product of their own thoughts and stems from their values. A reactive person's behavior is a product of their conditions and stem from their feelings. So I want to give you an example. I just heard this on the radio. There was a receiver from, I believe he was a receiver. He was a 9-year veteran that played for the Tennessee Titans. I cannot remember his name, but they just talked about it. And he was released. He was cut from the team. So after 9 years in the NFL, he was cut. The team took all the stuff that was in his locker, put it into garbage bags, and put it on his front doorstep.
Oh.
So
Taylor Launen.
Okay.
He was what's it called? He was a tackle.
Okay, he's a tackle. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He was a tackle.
He's a cool dude. He's got a podcast and everything.
Yes, yes, he does have a podcast. But Taylor Longan?
Launen or something. I know his name's Taylor.
Okay.
I just saw this.
Well, the lesson, it's remarkable that this came up today, because when everybody on the radio is up in arms. How can you do this to a 9-year veteran? You put his stuff in garbage bags, you leave it on his doorstep. When Taylor was asked about this, his response was, "What do you expect him to do? Put it in golden suitcases and leave it for me?" Like, his response to this, he realized that he was blessed to have the career he did. He was blessed to be able to go and make the money while he's on this earth that he did. And man, he could care less about that. And habit number 1, be proactive, is all about that. Our reactions to things. How many times do we react to, people cut us off and we get upset? People steal our parking spot and we get upset. Things. Stephen Covey uses the example of, imagine that you're planning a party, and you have it's an outdoor party. You have all the arrangements made, and suddenly a storm comes through that you didn't expect, and it rains, and the party gets rained out. Well, a reactive person would say, "Oh well, what's the use? We can't do anything. It's so unfortunate. The rain has put a dampener on this." A proactive person would learn to go and say, we're still going to have the party. Let's have it inside. We'll have games inside. We'll have other events inside. So living with MS, I used to take these examples and learn what to do with them when I was in sales, when I was running a business, when I had people I was managing. And when I developed MS and started having cognitive issues and all the issues I have, I realized that, I need to take a second. And I think we all could learn from this. Um, when you get an email, when you get a text, you could take a second and choose not to respond or choose what you respond. How many of us, respond to an email, respond to a text, respond to something immediately? Take a second and think about, man, in the grand scheme of life, how does this really impact me? And do I want to let this affect me? Having that reaction can make a big difference. I have to learn how to react all the time because my energy, I'm so limited with energy. So if I put energy into what I want to call bad emotion, emotion that gets me nowhere, or a reaction that gets me nowhere, it's going to suck me dry. So I have to choose my reactions and choose sometimes not to react. So that's habit number one: be proactive. Habit number two: begin with the end in mind. This talks about how you want to live your life. And let me back up for a second. Um, the 7 habits of highly effective people are based around you having goals, you having a plan. You need to have goals in life. Put them down in written goals. Put them down on paper. Put them down in an email. However you want to collect your goals. I'm old-fashioned, so I say put them down on paper. Have written goals. Have a written plan, and how you're going to go about it. So that's how the 7 habits are most effective for you. So habit number 2: begin with the end in mind. What kind of person do you want to be known for? The exercise that Stephen Covey uses is, he says, imagine you're at your own funeral. Oh God, this is a morbid topic, right? Imagine you're at your own funeral, and there's 4 people giving eulogies. One from your family, one from your extended family, one from your friends, and one from the people that you have just come in contact with throughout society, your networking group, your contacts. What do you want to be? What do you want to have said about you at your funeral? What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? And I think that's important in everyday life. It's important in your career. Right now, I'm living with multiple sclerosis, and um, I can choose what I want to be known for. There's a dog barking outside. I wonder if it's picking that up. That's funny. All right, keep going, keep going. So anyway, personally, right now I want to help other people living with this disease. I want to try to help to find a cure if it's possible, even though it may not affect me. Um, I want to try to be a support system. So, and I want to be there for my family and be the best dad I can, be the best husband I can. Within living with the issues I have, I want to try to do the best that I can for all that. So, number 2, be given the end in mind. What type of person do you want to be, and what kind of effect do you want to have on this world and other people on this earth? Uh, habit number 3, first things first. This has to do with time management and how we react. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can without boring you, but it's it has to do with if we can put things into quadrants, they call them. Okay. Um, the first quadrant is called urgent and important. So, for example, um, if at work there's an emergency meeting that comes up, you're at work, that's how you pay your bills. Emergency meeting, you didn't plan it, but you have to attend it. Um, exam tomorrow, okay? Um, did you study for it? How much time did you put in? It's studying for it. Um, for me personally, a big event with living with MS. It's all for me these days. It's all about managing my energy and managing my routine. So I know that I have to rest at certain points. I know there's certain things I can go to and I can't go to. Um, so if I know something's coming up that I want to go to, I can't just do nothing and not plan for it. I have to plan for it. Um, things like being late for work. Um, you have to be at work. Do what you got to do. That's a priority. That's something that you should be on top of. Um, you don't want to be late for work. That means yes, you have to go to work because that's how you pay your bills. But you're late because you didn't plan properly. Um, project due the next day. Your car breaks down because of lack of maintenance. You know, stay on top of things in your life. Make sure that yes, things will happen that you have no control over, but try to be as in control of things as you can. So quadrant number one is important and urgent. Okay. Quadrant number two is important but not urgent. Um, planning, goal setting, exercise, relaxation. Yes, relaxation is important. You have to plan that. Going away on vacation, you have to plan it. You can't just allow um, things to happen in your life. You have to plan around them. That's quadrant number two. Quadrant number three is urgent but not important. This is urgent on behalf of other people. That ringing phone, interruptions, other people's unplanned small problems, peer pressure, social media. Oh my God. Like, how much time do we just get distracted by social media when we have something else to do that's important to our life? And the fourth quadrant is not urgent and not important. Too much TV, too much social media, too much texting, um, time wasters. So I'm not, I have to be careful with this because I'm not saying that every time something happens in your life, you need to stop and write down four quadrants. But you need to understand what these things are doing to you. And that if you plan, if you have goals, if you put this in a schedule, then you will give it appropriate time and you won't be distracted by the other things. Sometimes we allow distractions, people, like I mentioned, the ringing phone, the social media today, and ridiculous emails or texts that we just automatically go and we get sucked into. If you have a plan and you have time put aside to go ahead and work on something, then work on it. You need to be on schedule. I can't tell you how um, living with this disease has changed my life in this way. I have I used to be able to. I went to 2 years of cognitive therapy, um, where I learned about the spoon theory and how much energy each activity I want to do uses. Um, for me, we used to be all about. Let's say I had $100 in the day, and I could plan out my day. I knew that going to therapy used $15. Making dinner used $20, and so on and so on. And I couldn't go over that $100 in energy. Well, that's what's happened, but now it's happened. It's gotten even worse, where um, I don't have $100 in energy for the day. Doing this podcast alone sucks the energy out of me. I've usually got to go sleep for about 2 hours afterwards. So I may only have energy, $100 of energy for an hour. And I have to understand, for me, physical activity takes it out of me. Process-oriented thinking takes it out of me. Pain takes it out of me. I have to be careful where I spend my time. If I went to the store before I came here, and I always run into somebody I know. I have to be careful how much of a conversation I get into with that person, because having a conversation, talking, sucks the life out of me, takes my energy away. Listening takes my energy away. So, for you, if you're not living with disease, just think about how you spend your time. Make decisions differently. Have a plan. Have it in a calendar, so that way you know what you're supposed to be doing at that moment. Yes, like I mentioned, you have to have time scheduled for relaxation. That's fine. Put it in your calendar. If you know that it's Friday night at 6 o'clock, you're out with your friends, then put it in your calendar. It's fine, and relax and enjoy yourself, and don't be sucked into your other issues, work or whatever the case is. So. I didn't want this quadrant 3 to get too overwhelming for you, but just pay attention to where you're spending your time. That's important. Oh, man, once again, this process-oriented stuff destroys me. I have to pull from memory or whatever. Habit number 4, always seek win-win situations. If you're dealing with somebody, have it so that way you're on the same page, the person you're with is on the same page, and it's a win-win situation. Sometimes we get caught up in the win-lose. If we win and you lose, we think that's a good thing. Well, that'll catch up to you. Always be in a situation where, win-win or no deal. If it makes no sense to work with someone or be in a relationship with someone, it's okay to get rid of them. Don't be afraid. And with MS, we have therapists, we have doctors. It has to make sense. If you're, unfortunately, I've had to move on with my doctor at some point, and it wasn't because I think my doctor was definitely not doing things for me. It's because I saw that there was not going to be any change. So for me, it was no deal. That's what I took out of it. I had to move on. And no offense, I wish him the best. He's a great person. He's the person that first diagnosed me. But it was time to move on. And if you're in a relationship with somebody, friendship, business relationship, whatever it is, you're at school and you're in a relationship with somebody, make sure that whatever you take out of that is always win-win. Don't take lose-win. You lose and they win. That's not good. That's not good for long-term relationships. Win-lose, again, that's not good. So always make sure win-win are a deal. Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This goes back to you're born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use them in proportion to one another. You always want to understand first. Make sure that you're not so busy with, sometimes somebody's talking to us and we ask a question and they're giving us the answer. And while they're giving us the answer, in our mind, we're thinking about what our response is going to be instead of listening to them. That's not good for any relationship. So seek to understand, then to be understood. Again, it's for me with living with MS. This habit is tricky because I've got to be careful how much time I invest And I've learned that there's moments I just uh, should not say hi. I should not get engulfed in a conversation. I should not have any conversations. Um, if you're in business or you're in school or whatever the case is, just always keep this in mind that seek first to understand, then to be understood. Listen to that person. Don't be so and catch yourself. I do it too, even now. If somebody's talking to us and in your mind you're planning your response instead of listening to them, that's no good. That is not a good situation. Uh, Habit number 6 is synergize. A lot of people think that compromise is the way to go. That's not it. Compromise means that instead of one plus one equal 2, 1 plus 1 could equal 1.5. Synergize means 1 plus 1 could equal 3, 4, 5. It's a better solution because the person that you're dealing with gives a crap about you and you give a crap about them. The example that Covey uses is two people have an argument. They one person says, I want this window in this room open. The other one says, I want it closed. Open, closed, open, closed. They're back and forth. Well, finally the person says, well, why do you want it open? He says, well, I want the fresh air. It makes me, the fresh air helps me sleep better. It makes me feel better. Why do you want it closed? Well, because if it's open, it blows my papers around. So you come up with a solution. The solution is maybe we open a window in the next room so that way we can get some fresh air in here and it doesn't blow the papers around. Now that's a very basic answer, but always come up with solutions that are beneficial to both people, not just one. And the last habit is sharpen the saw. So there's an example that Covey gives of a man is sawing down a tree. And he's out there working, and he's working his butt off, and he's back sweating. And somebody says to him, what are you doing? He says, I'm cutting down this tree. And he's sweating. He's like, well, you look like you're having a hard time. He's like, yeah, I am. He said, well, why don't you sharpen the saw? And the person says, what are you talking about? I'm too busy, sawing down a tree to sharpen the saw. Sometimes we could be doing things in our life that will make what we do better. How much reading do we do? How much learning do we do? How much do we do that will sharpen our instincts and make us better people, better able to respond, better at what we do? Always be reading and looking and listening. For me these days, it used to be I was always into self-help books, and whether it was Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey, Jack Canfield. I was always reading something and trying to learn. I remember, listening to. I was fascinated with Malcolm Gladwell. I listened to many tapes that he put out on his interactions with people, and these days it's all about. Now we have social media, so I'm on the internet looking at MS social media groups. I'm looking at things that are coming up that are beneficial, whether it's diet, exercise, new treatments, clinical trials coming up. Things that people have done. I'm reading other comments saying, "Man, that's beneficial to me." So I'm always looking at ways to improve my approach to life, my approach to this disease. Um, I was kind of I don't know, nervous about this topic because I thought it was something that was going to be too much not disease oriented, not uh, helpful. But this helped me so much in my life before MS, and it took me years to figure out how to take some of the lessons that I learned from it and implement it into my life with MS. Um, so I've done that. I do that. And this podcast, for me doing it, is really a reminder of that. Um, I don't know. Mr. Producer, what do you think? Is this thing good?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to check. Um, how we doing on time?
25 minutes.
Okay. So I knew this was going to be a while. This is probably the longest I've gone. So please, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. If you're a reader, read it. If you need to listen, get it on book on audio and listen to it that way. It can change your life. It definitely has helped me. Helped me now even with MS. So it is MS Awareness Month, and please start spreading orange. That's the color for MS. And I think that's it for today. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.